Hi friends, this is Yoga Light. Today we will look at yoga and manifestation. Manifestation involves two themes. The first is that you have an untapped potential within you, but your conditioning restrains your sense of what is possible. Our upbringing and life experiences can limit our beliefs and perception of what is real. This blocks access to our true potential, either through limiting self-narratives and conceptions, or you are simply unaware that you can become different than you are now. The goal is to awaken this dormant potential. The second theme is that our thoughts and emotions can determine our lives. Our inner being has a creative power of consciousness that influences the world around us and can shape events. You can find this ability and consciously use it. The idea that the mind can establish events with or apart from action is ancient. Many methods exist, from sacrifices to gain divine favor to ardent prayer, mantra, and visualization. In some systems, the idea of karma basically says that your actions, inward and outward, and even from past lives, produce later situations and experiences. Our thoughts, emotions, and beliefs influence the world around us. It not only determines the way we look at the world and respond, but it also draws us to situations and generates conditions. We exist in the world and are part of it. This interconnection and interaction with the world and our own momentum can be shifted inwardly, and the results of this change will be reflected in the flow of events. One line of development focuses on our circumstances and works to change them. We want something to be different. This focuses on our moods and perspectives towards relationships, abundance, health, and our vocations. By changing the way we think and feel, we can improve our situation. This recognizes something in our outer life and works inwardly with our psychology. This is often prime motivational speaker land. The second way is to look at who we are and work to change things inwardly to come to a more true way of being. This focuses on our becoming and uses external conditions as a reflection and fulfillment. We can say that there are four methods: an appeal to a greater power, individual effort through concentration, natural law, and occult recipes. Yoga uses all four. In yoga, there are two fundamental insights, awakenings that change your life path. The first is recognition, in some form, clearly or vaguely, of spirit, that there is something higher and beyond. This is the basis of faith, whether blind faith or faith in a divine idea or form that we relate to. The second often accompanies the first awakening. It perceives that there is more to reality than its appearance, and that what we experience, the world around us, is an illusion, not necessarily a negative one, a phantasm, not the matrix of a machine, but there is more going on. The world is not so solid, concrete, and mechanical as presented by the senses. The world is dreamlike as it appears both objective and also symbolic. This often begins when we recognize that our reality is a product of our mind, that our senses are not giving us a complete picture. People may understand this mentally, for instance that solid objects are electromagnetic fields and primarily empty space. You're not sitting on the atoms. But they still may not have the actual insight. This can also be the case for people brought up with these ideas via philosophy or religion. We need a true recognition. This often begins when coincidences are recognized as a flow. We can start to see the hidden hand, or the relationship of within and without, as more than the senses. We gain guidance, whether by some inner feeling or voice, or we sense what should be done or what is coming to be. There is an awareness that lets us glimpse the more subtle aspects of our existence. This then plays out with two approaches: an outward focus that seeks to establish our desired outcomes in the material world, and an evolutionary progress of our becoming on the spiritual journey. In this first video, let's look at the outward focus. In the second, we will see how yoga describes this as we aim for a spiritual manifestation. The outward-oriented approach uses personal concentration and natural law. It looks for limiting beliefs and connects them to our current situation. How we respond, our thoughts, feelings, emotional reactions, and how we identify with and see the world are part of these beliefs. If we change our beliefs, we start to change how the world responds. What do you want to be different? Abundance, work situations, health, and relationships are usually the primary focus of the material life. Do you want more money, a better, more fulfilling career, or a relationship? What stops you from attaining these goals? The answer is limiting beliefs and inner dialogue, unproductive emotional patterns, and a lack of creative vision. One needs to find the limiting beliefs and change them. One also needs to draw out new perspectives and their supporting emotions and tap into a source of creativity. You could say that all this about manifestation is simply motivation, but our lack of motivation is often based on the idea that we can't change things outside of our control, or that it will take too great an effort and be a miserable struggle. If it is only motivation, then there is no need to claim that our mind is connected to the wider reality that influences the flow of events. This is not an argument that reasonable explanations can counter. It requires inner development. However, you can experiment and observe the results. A typical starting point is survival consciousness or survival mode. This is where you perceive the world as against you. Everything is a struggle, a lack of resources, a fear of not having enough or losing what one has, and things will run out. This is not just about a belief in how the world is or works. Our emotions color the way we perceive things. If you were asked what you believe, the answer might be different. Still, this mood perspective generates imagination and drama, pulls up memory associated with the feelings, and then suggests ideas that confirm them. For instance, if you are unemployed, the thought that no one will hire me occurs. Your mind gives you reasons why you're unemployable, too old, not the right kind of education, the economy is terrible, so there are no jobs. You remember being rejected for a job and feeling an old hurt. There can be supporting dramas dealing with the fear of rejection, not wanting to change, not facing pressure, or even dealing with our negative self-esteem from being unemployed. These moods sap your motivation. Why look for opportunities when you know they are not there? Have you ever gone to look for something and eventually found it under your nose because it wasn't where you expected it, or it didn't look like what you remembered? You will tend to see things that confirm your feelings and outlook. Through self-observation, you can catch yourself. You decide on a positive outlook and repeat an affirmation such as, "There is an abundance of opportunities all around me. I have the power to generate a new way of life." When you notice negative thoughts, you affirm a positive outlook. This has three basic methods that are intertwined. One is to examine whether our outlook and reasoning are true. Even if the economy is terrible, people are still being hired every day. You can find examples of this if you look for them. Each time you are confronted with a negative thought, you affirm your positive one. This changes your momentum and produces different emotional reactions, but it has to be a persistent practice. The second method is to visualize what you want. What is the situation that you want to be in? What will it be like? What and who will surround you? How will you act? How will people treat you? When you have a vision, it may be fixed or evolve, but you use the imagination. For instance, if you want to make more money and live in a better house, you visualize what that house is like. Perhaps it has a wooded lot or a 2-car garage and a home office. You see yourself checking on the solar panels or watching the deer coming near the patio door. You keep this visualization in your mind and retain your imagination to supply you with these daydreams. The third is to feel what is going on, and this comes from the visualization and checking in on the quality of thoughts and affirmations. This helps unlock the emotional powers and combats many of the obstacles. A common practice is recognizing gratitude and looking at things in your life that help uplift you. For instance, your dog greeting you when you arrive home, or remembering times you felt gratitude. Recognizing and appreciating positive feelings helps you to identify negative ones and move away from them. We have emotional habits. Mechanical patterns of emotions go with thoughts, and, on examination, we will find all sorts of stories and dramas, thought suggestions, and associated memories that occur in the mind to feel a certain way, such as political rage or social insecurity. Thinking about money, for instance, may come with fear or frustration, even anger, in other words, stress. Often the bridge between the thoughts and emotions is drama, the stories and memories that go with the feelings and repeat the same mechanical thoughts. The idea is to have a vision, see it, feel it, enjoy it, and affirm that you can have it. When old thoughts and emotions appear, you confront them and reassert your vision. We use our personal will and concentration to change our outlook. This leads us to three main obstacles: desire, doubt, and lack of action. We want to avoid the trap of wish fulfillment. Desire is a constant force within us. It is not a particular desire. For instance, we may want a donut, but if we realize we can't have one, we will want something else, like peanut butter cups. Desires can fixate, but they can also fluctuate. So when we are told that we can manifest things with our minds, our desire can come rushing in, and we want too many things and can't stay focused on just one. With a strong desire, you will want it now. And this leads to the other problem of desire, that other forces can use our desires to manipulate us. Many scams work by preying on our desires. It is not about good and bad desires, but desire itself is suspect. You have to recognize desire, make good choices, and seek things that have value. Many clickbait videos promise techniques to instantly manifest anything you want, to have complete mind mastery and to unlock the mind with easy techniques. We have to observe and avoid any sense of urgency. Sometimes it works like magic for reasons that we will go into. At other times, it is like most self-help work. It can be difficult. When I worked with cancer patients, I saw more than one be presented with the medical advice to change their diet. I also saw that they had difficulty changing even though their life was at stake. To change one's habits and tastes and have family members go along with it can be very difficult. You decide. The second problem is doubt. Once we have chosen that we want to manifest, it is natural to doubt that we can get it, that it is right to even want it, or that the techniques will work. We may doubt our ability to handle it and do the work. So we have to be ready to reject incapacity and use our thoughts to correct doubt. We have to find a deeper self-confidence and sense of self-value. It may even mean repeating an affirmation even though we doubt it, but still knowing that we can change the feeling and thought patterns and be stubborn enough to push through the self-doubt. Initially recognize that there will be moments of doubt and use the roller coaster of emotions to realize that we are in the process of growing. The third problem is action. Simply doing things with our mind is insufficient. We still have to do actions in the world. We have to act. Awaken to the insight that the mind and the body, the self and the world are not separate. They are part of a continuity. For many goals, there are logical actions to take. For instance, if your goal is to own a small business, you can study which businesses are most likely to succeed. You can study accounting or observe how a company you work for is run. You can find out what resources are available to start a small business. There are many things, such as how your boss does things successfully or not. For instance, if your boss disrespects and disparages employees, you can imagine yourself doing it correctly. However, if you have emotional patterns that make you angry, then imagining something positive may not even occur to you. You may not appreciate the chance to practice seeing in a better way. If you are looking for a relationship, this too can be examined and felt through. You should also ask yourself what you are really looking for and explore the relationships you have been in. You want to see what you don't want, or what you would like to continue from a previous relationship, or perhaps what you've never experienced but would like to. You can examine your observations of what you've seen in family or friends. If your goal is to make more money, you can begin by asking what you are good at, what your proclivities are, and what kind of job will use those qualities and pay well. Questions direct the mind. Some actions are internal, such as asking questions of yourself, and some are external, such as taking classes or applying for jobs. If your goal is to make a lot more money, you can even look at the tax implications and think about how to invest it, what material things you want, and notice where desire comes into play. If you visualize getting a large sum of money, such as being a multimillionaire, but don't have a pathway of action, you will be trapped in your own subjectivity. If you take action, such as reading how people became wealthy, seeing what steps they took, and looking for opportunities, the world will start to open up. This leads to the motivation triad: action, belief, purpose. These three ideas are interrelated and you can start from any of them. If you take an action, it will strengthen your belief and increase your sense of purpose. If you really value your purpose, it will lead you to take action, thus strengthening your belief that you can achieve your goal. Being aware that you are working towards your goal feels positive and can help when doubt or lack of progress surges. There are two more problems. The problem and opportunity of acceptance. You will often see signs of your goal, a type of precognition, and things start to form and come into being. Sometimes people are unaware of them and miss opportunities because they hold back from acceptance out of fear of getting what they want, a form of self-doubt born of a lack of self-worth. At other times they are jealous or have a sense of being denied because they see what they want, apparently, but not for themselves. So one must see these as indicators that the vision is coming into being and be willing to accept the form that it takes. The last problem is time. One must be persistent and patient. Desire wants it now, but it takes time and practice. If your goal is to be a legal advocate, you still have to study the law. But if you are internally committed, then you can manifest opportunities, meet people who can help you, and find the money and time to study. It is good to know that sometimes things do arrive as if by magic, and sometimes something better than you imagined arises. The outward approach looks at what you want to change in your life. First you see a lack or a problem, and then you do the inner work of changing your perspective and mood towards the outcome you envision. The second aspect of the outward change comes not just because we react or behave differently, but because we can influence events via the mind. For manifestation, this comes under the idea of the law of attraction, or resonance. How we are vibrating, or what we are putting out or radiating, brings to us like vibrations. The law of attraction is like attracts like. What you focus on, you get. As a law, it is simplistic and mechanical. As an observation of a tendency, it works. There is a level of normal waking life where, if you are friendly, people usually respond with friendliness. This is the mundane level. Going deeper, if you are focused on a dream job, you attract to you situations and contacts that lead to the new job. It could be as you imagined, and it was simply the act of applying. But it can also be just by the apparent luck of being at the right place at the right time. It can turn out to be the job you didn't know existed. When the student is ready, the teacher appears. When discussing manifestation, the advice is not to think about how it will come into being. This applies to the mundane level because our view of the world is very limited. On the subtle level, we don't need to have occult knowledge or worry about the metaphysical philosophy unless that is what we are seeking. This avoids the problem of investing doubt in the vision or acceptance resting in only being able to see a clear way forward and in ways that you expect. I once had a yoga student who listened when I pointed out that what you concentrate on affects the things you experience in life. You can shape events and be drawn to encounters, something beyond your simple reactions and way of interpreting events. He took this to heart, returned later, and told me about working on his bike. He wanted to get a particular set of handlebars for his Harley that he had seen from a famous chopper. He said that he would study pictures of those handlebars before work. He was a pipe welder. He thought about it for quite a while because he did have the skill to weld a set, though he would probably have to ruin a couple of them before he got it right. Then came Sturgis, the motorcycle rally. He went that year, and when he rode up, the chopper who had designed the handlebars was surrounded by a television crew shooting a feature on him. They wanted the crowd to ask him questions, and no one was coming up with any. My friend asked him about the handlebars from that bike, and whether he could offer them for sale, and the chopper said, "Funny you should mention it. I just got those ready for my new catalog out next month." When we deal with yoga, we will look at the things we attract that we didn't want and have never thought about, the symbolic aspects, and all the different possibilities. But with manifestation, in this sense, we consciously use our ongoing ability to obtain chosen outcomes. This leads to a deeper understanding. First, the outcome should be meaningful to us. If you are looking to make more money doing a job you want to do, that job should be using your skills and talents and accomplishing something you believe in. You want to live up to your potential, and you also need to find the vision within you. You will not get the success you want if you follow someone else's path or follow desires often influenced by outside forces. It should be what you really want and need, which gives you the strength of commitment. The second understanding is that we operate in a world based on our conditioning, much of which is subconscious and unexamined. We pick up many ideas, identities, attitudes, and habits from our family, upbringing, and education. We accept many of these without questioning or even being aware that we have them or their source. We may react by doing the opposite, but it is still based on this conditioning. So, for instance, we may have picked up attitudes and habits of dealing with money or physical fitness from our parents and find that this doesn't serve us well. For example, your parents might have avoided talking about money in front of you, and so you learn to avoid dealing with it. You use a strategy of putting your head in the sand and, as a consequence, are late in paying bills and don't keep track of expenses. If our vision is to attain a certain lifestyle, these issues may show us beliefs, habits, ideas, and dramas that are no longer useful. As we seek to change how we dramatize our outcomes, it is helpful to name these as a personality, role, identity, or archetype. For instance, you may be seeking a firm work identity and decide to become a medical professional. But growing up, you were a rebel, always seeking to challenge authority. This made it difficult in many of your jobs, and you see that this role no longer serves you. In creating our vision of our intended outcome, we may see ourselves in a new situation as a different person. Naming the old person and the new may support our work of self-change. We may also seek to obtain new qualities or virtues. Virtues are effective qualities like courage, sincerity, prudence, compassion. There are many. Visioning is a continuation of what most people do in childhood, which is to imagine their future as somebody or in some role and situation. This ability can go dormant as we enter adulthood, but it can be dusted off and used again. You have a role and an identity that is embedded in your circumstances. You can be trapped by inertia. You didn't get the job you wanted, but took the job that was available. You may resent the job because it's not what you want, or you think it's beneath you. This type of vision often fails to appreciate what is right before you. The feelings either built up till you take action to break out of the pattern, or your inertia leaves you without the creative will to change your situation. For some, the main effort and work to bring change is to decide what you want. You can also have a habit of ambition, always seeking more. This can cause you to always be seeking a moving target of more money. No matter what success you have, it isn't enough. You can also have tunnel vision. You seek to climb to a better job, but only within the job structure you know, leaving you still trapped in circumstances. Even though you have creative powers and an ability to create a situation that is fulfilling, you still have to look inward and see what is really meaningful to you. Part of our untapped potential is our intuitive ability. Intuition is not just a rapid thought process, but is the ability to know things directly, a knowingness. This deeper insight can sense the impact of our actions. We can see where our thoughts and emotions lead. This can be blocked when we are stressed about it, or if we tend to filter everything by moral codes that simply judge as good or bad and don't look at the big picture. There is an inner sense that knows how to balance and juggle the different demands and still see the right action. It also recognizes when resources come to us and helps us to use them skillfully to fulfill our purpose. The basic idea is to change your life by being patient and persistent in consciously directing your mind toward manifestation. You identify an imbalance in your outer circumstances or where you feel you are lacking in life, and then affirm that you have the power to change it. You visualize the outcome, the new situation that you want. Using visualization and affirmations, you clear inner dialogues, confront the psychological blocks, the emotional patterns, and old thought forms, and create new ones that reflect what you are becoming. You take action, inner work on acquiring the traits and skills needed, and outer action to achieve your vision. However, what is personally meaningful to you will start to shift when we examine things from a yogic point of view. In the next video, we will look at yoga and manifestation and describe in practical terms how this works as we seek spiritual manifestation. If you got something out of this video, please hit the like and subscribe. Till next time.